What is up, you guys? We are here for our full moon in Virgo. This was a lunar eclipse happening about 3:30 something in the morning Pacific time. So this happened in the middle of the night last night, so we're in the energy of that. This particular eclipse is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is, Virgo is our mutable earth sign, so it's the earth sign that's the most changeable. And we are in a Mercury retrograde. So the themes right now are like clarity coming around information and ideas, clarity coming around our thoughts and our perceptions and our understanding. Information that has been concealed is going to be revealed. We might have striking, sudden revelations, sudden things being revealed to us that we weren't expecting that can, be significant plot points that change our coming story from the old story. Right? Central characters may be exiting, or things that you were used to may be changing in a significant way, and maybe in surprise fashions. So hopefully by now that will have sort of presented itself, since the full moon has come. That could be unfolding over the next couple of weeks or the next 6 months, but some people might have had an actual experience between the last new moon and eclipse that set us out into the eclipse season, and then now we are completing eclipse season. So this whole eclipse to eclipse, it's been like a portal, a gateway from the old life, the old existence, the old reality, the old timeline that we've been disassembling for the last several years, and we've been sort of like jumping from timeline to timeline, never really resting anywhere long, because everything's been growing and evolving and changing and mutating and shifting and becoming. And so now it's like we've been flipping through the channels in a remote, right? And we haven't landed on a story, but now it's like we're finally here through this portal and now coming out on the other side of this as we wrap up Pisces season, the season of in-depth introspection of, and like, I love that the Zohar lesson today pointed out, it's not enough to just meet your challenge or something very painful, something very difficult, and say, oh, it's fine, I trust the creator, I'm sure that this is all part of the process, I'm sure it's all going to play out. You have to go deep. You have to probe. What is the wake-up call here? What am I being awakened to realize? What am I being called to grow, or to change, or to shift, or to repair, or to be aware of? Or where do I have ignorance that now I can be illuminated, right? So it's not enough to just accept that this is God's will and it's part of the big plan and it's part of the process, and just to completely bypass all of the real information that lies under the surface. Remember, we want, like Jesus said, he didn't want passive followers. He would want followers who would probe and search for deeper and deeper meaning. So that's the Pisces season takes us into that self discovery, and like more than just accepting the challenge and trying to navigate gracefully through it by, yes, we need to let go and surrender, but also within that surrender, go deep and ask, okay, what is this challenge showing me? Where's the wake-up call? Where do I need to heed this moment and seize an opportunity, or meet the challenge, or address the issue? Is there something that's preventing my growth right now, that if I could just, it's like there's like a snag, and if I could cut that little string that's holding the snag, then like the whole thing would just be opened up, right? So we're looking at things that need to be cut away to let us be propelled into forward movement, We're shedding things that are not in alignment, right? Anything that's not really true to our soul's essence and yearning and calling, anything that doesn't really serve our highest good anymore, anything that is leaking our energy or our time and our focus that we don't really value. It's like it's time to let that pass. Unconscious drives and motivators, unconscious behaviors that were learned sort of defense patterns and mechanisms that we developed to survive certain dynamics and personality types in our life. We're starting to dismantle those and realize, oh, I don't have to wear this armor all the time. I don't have to set this to my automatic response system. I can navigate each situation and feel it out and discern, and not have this sweeping like automated system running that's not exercising my judgment. That's what these unconscious patterns are like in our subconscious. They're like these insidious AI algorithms running. Right? We talked about in last night's video using the example of someone who has been maybe like an empath who's been preyed upon habitually for long periods of time by narcissistic people. Then that empath, and it's not always people we can choose to get away from, right? Say it's like close family members or people that you have been in close community with for long periods of time and you can't avoid them, right? So you have to like be with them in certain scenarios. And so you realize about these certain people on the spectrum of narcissism that there's not any breaking through or making positive progress. So you realize you just have to survive the interaction. So you develop this sort of psychological kung fu, like using that narcissist's own energy to keep them preoccupied with themselves. However, like, and we're just giving like an example here. So then that learned behavior, you don't realize that you start carrying with it through life. And so whereas you're in this emergency response system using these tactics and evasive behaviors or avoidance because you had to, we're now seeing, oh, that got kind of programmed into my response system and I'm not even thinking about it, but that's like how I am navigating dynamics with other people who are healthy, and that's not necessary. It's like safe to be, so we have to realize, okay, where did I put on armor in my life that I forgot to take off, that I'm unaware of, that I'm continuing to walk around in? Where are my subconscious defense mechanisms so embedded that, and that's the nature of the unconscious drivers, right? We don't know that they're there. They're unconscious to us. So how am I on auto response, living my life like AI, like an algorithm, in reflexive response mode as a reaction, right? Now I'm in effect consciousness, not cause consciousness, right? So that doesn't make me share affinity with the creator when I'm on autopilot. That is breaking my affinity with the creator. It's being unconscious. It's going through life in a reactive state as an effect of a cause. But when we want to be like the creator, we want to be the cause, not the effect. So we want to be present and grounded and sovereign and on purpose with awareness and consciousness as we navigate and interact through life. So things are being made more clear and more apparent. Our patterns are coming forth so that we can recognize them with like crystal clarity, and then like dismantle them. And then yes, clarity is coming out. Things that we didn't know about, like for instance, okay, so a lot of us that have evangelical roots have heard all of the end times cultural fever mania. And for those of us who, most of us here understand that no one on earth knows when that day is coming. not even Jesus knew that that day is coming. And I think a lot of us were raised by people who were obsessive about spotting how the Antichrist is going to come in as an angel of light and fool everyone with false prophecy. And then they were going to do like there's like peace in the middle. There's like these like kind of like bullet points that were taken from postmodern dispensationalism and these ancient Sumerian prophecies. They were projected onto the symbolic language of Revelations, which was an encoded protest literature from the early Christianity, when Christians were being persecuted by Nero. So people have, like in the 1800s, this dude, I can't remember his name, but he found this prophecy and he started using it to whip people into hysteria and tailspin to get them to be complacent in like protecting slavery in the United States during the Civil War era. So when slavery was starting to become like, oh, why are we doing this? Like the Civil War was gaining momentum and people were like, well, yeah, we shouldn't have slavery. Their base was starting to break, and the white supremacy at the time, in order to hold on to their political hold, weaponized this fear of God in people and started preaching this culture to get people on board for what would ultimately evolve into today's white Christian nationalist agenda. And so the whole like Left Behind series was based on these things, and this culture is not like prevalent through all of the like denominations of Christianity. It's mostly just a fervor that was incited in evangelicals, and then again exacerbated by the Reagan era when they started weaponizing all this scripture and weaponizing the evangelical vote. So this has been underlying and brainwashing baby boomers all this time into these basically the world system agenda that they taught us to recognize. So millennials are watching our parents fall right into what would appear to be the exact plot that they warned us about and taught us to recognize. But they have been fooled somehow and confused, and now they are falling for the false prophecy. And now it has been revealed that this Christian nationalism is behind all of these things today, because Pete Hegseth has been informing his generals and commanders that this war is sanctioned by God and that Trump is anointed by Jesus, and this war is going to bring on Armageddon to force Jesus to come back. This is a scam. This is exactly like all the people making money off of the rapture scares that are like, I'll come collect your animals if you give me this money. Like, they've just shown their cards. They've just folded the big leverage that they had. So, and then they revealed the big reason, but like people are not like latching on like they thought, and they're like, oh, okay, we're not, okay, so this is like, because most of us have been aware that this is what is really running the ship right now, but they're like, the boomers haven't necessarily, and not everyone, but like the people in this camp, and it's not just them, there's multiple generations that are behind this, but it's coming from this culture that got so fired up in the late 70s, early 80s about all of this stuff, and they've been basically steering people along their agenda, cherry picking all of these things, like engineering what looked like the prophecies being unfolding, you know, to get people to go along with their own plots and agendas. Meanwhile, there really is this evil cult going on behind the scenes that's actually not Christian at all, but it's the same people, but they're, you know, doing all these like evil ritualistic things. So all of this is being exposed, and we're in the midst of a war now that nobody wanted, and they're admitting, like, yeah, we just thought we'd try to trigger Armageddon to get Jesus to come back. That's what we're doing, right? These are going to be the people that decide to water crops with energy drink. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Idiocracy by Mike Judge, but it was quite prophetic, and it's pretty much playing out right now. So there isn't any real threat or motive other than the greed that they will, all the money they will make through these wars. And in their mind, I think a few people think they can force Jesus to come back. And that's pretty ignorant, since Jesus himself was like, yes, even I don't know the day that my Father will finally have had enough with you, disappointing lot, and just wipe it all out. So yeah, that's really interesting. And then these same people don't feel like they'll have to deal with Armageddon because they think they're going to get raptured. So this is where we're at. So this is what's been revealed in the last few hours, like during the essence of this eclipse in Mercury retrograde in Virgo. Now, on a personal level, for those of us thriving within Armageddon, we are reconsidering our routines and our habits and the way that we take care of ourselves in our lives. And I think that we're really realizing that we can't, I mean, you guys remember the readings that we've had over the last year talking about how we can no longer trust institutions. We can no longer depend on institutions. This is any traditional institution. Like, it's getting harder for people to get student loans or grants or research funding. It's getting harder for us to rely on the government's safety nets for social support. It is getting harder to rely on the organized institutional church because priests and preachers and pastors are using AI for their scripture and for their sermons, and they have other sermons that they buy from groups that are behind these plots. So you have to be very discerning about the group that you involve yourself in and what kind of church you go to. And it's just like Jesus was talking about in the beginning of the Gospel of Mary. Don't let anybody tell you go this way or go that way. I've got the answer, because the Son of Man is within you. And so we've reached these times that he was talking about where there's going to be people all around us saying that they're telling the truth, that I have the truth, that I have the way, that I've got the exclusive answer. And we now know we have to go with them. Even down to watching how the powers that be are exerting force over populations. They are cutting off their resources. They're cutting off their power. So I think we're also seeing that part of taking care of ourselves is, how do we direct our spending and saving right now? How do we fortify ourselves in times where we could have our power taken from us, So it's like, okay, having some basic things around to get through a scenario like that, maybe looking into small, like solar power sources, ways to collect and purify water, ways to cook if you couldn't use your full kitchen, just basic things like that. Making sure you have a little, emergency fund set away. And if I were a person in this world right now, I would probably have an up-to-date passport just to have it, even if you don't think you're going to go anywhere. I think that it would be probably prudent for anyone to have one because you never know when suddenly infrastructures get tied up in emergency situations and things get all, locked up and clogged and systems, get frozen up. So basic things like that, I think, are good to think about. But otherwise, I think just in a mundane way, I think that we have really cleaned up our habits, and we are approaching our schedule and our energy and our time differently. And I think that we're prioritizing different things to spend time and energy and focus on. And I think that we are really excited about getting back to nature and aligning ourselves with the rhythms of the seasons and all that too. So even though there's a lot of heavy things shifting out in the world right now, a lot of loud, unpleasant harshness and insanity, just absolute off the rails, methamphetamine hysteria, insanity. I think us as a collective, we're all softening. We're softening into nature, softening into wanting pure things and simplicity. We've seen what out of unchecked ambition and lust and greed looks like, and I think that it has made it very clear to us that we've misprioritized because we've been listening to this cultural voice, but we've realized who's behind the curtain, who is behind the voice. And this is from everything from female beauty standards, ageism, consumerism, having to have your life look a certain way in order to be fulfilled. It's people who are still trying to keep up with the Joneses and project some kind of image. It's they're so sad because it's they're still in bondage to this demon that's not going to deliver any kind of real satisfaction, just more insatiability, more hunger, more dissatisfaction, more emptiness. So I think a lot of us are waking up in masses, and we're waking up to what we truly value, what really nurtures us, what really holds value, and what gives lasting value, and what creates more goodness. All right, let's get into the reading. So our first card will represent where we are, who we are, what we are looking at who we are in the context of this moment. Ooh, needless worry. So we're in the window of Purim right now. And Purim is a holiday where it's a long story, but the underlying theme is that you want to let go of your ego's projection and judgment of if a situation is going to be good for you or bad for you, if it's going to play out good or bad. It could be the appearances could seem negative on the surface, but actually that situation could play out for your highest good in the end. So a lot of part of Purim is to get so drunk that you can't tell the difference between, it's all when you're all drunk and you're happy and you're it's all good, whatever, you have no judgment. It's like that. It's getting into such a state of spiritual intoxication that you don't see bad because all you see is the creator. Even in the worst case scenario, you've got those drunken glasses on and you're it'll be fine, kind of thing. and the creator is going to work through this, but not in a way that like you're putting your head in the sand or being avoidant, or not in the way that ends up going off the rails and becoming weaponized and literally turning into the propaganda that is literally playing out in World War III right now. But more in a way where we are having to sit in the shadows of World War III and literally trust that God is revealing the ignorance and the darkness and the evil in the world, so that it's no longer lurking in the shadows. And you know, the greatest power of the opponent, of the adversary, is that we don't think he's there, that we don't pay attention, that we don't think there's any threat. And so it's like something that's growing under the surface that seems benign, that's actually deadly. So that's being exposed. And right now, all of these terrifying things, it's like when you hear a story of someone who, say, gets in an accident, God forbid, and they go to the emergency room, God forbid, and they find out that they have this, they were going to have an aneurysm or something, and they caught it because they already had to be in there, you know, getting a CAT scan, and they prevented it, you know, all of this, God forbid, this is just hypothetical, made up. But also, it's like you, in the initial moment, are like, oh no, I got a car accident, it's gonna be terrible. But then you realize later that that was actually an act of mercy, because that allowed you to discover something that was very dangerous and get ahead of it. So needless worry at the moment. I would say be prudent, be responsible, but don't worry yourself to death. Worry really doesn't help. Being clarity and taking proactive action, being a proactive problem solver helps. But worrying and distress and anxiety cannot help you at all. In fact, they can actually hurt you. They can disconnect you from your reason, and they can start to cause sickness in the body. So what is crossing us now? It's time to confront the situation. So honest discussions, confronting the truth, open communication, standing up for yourself. So perfect for this eclipse, this revealing. It's like facing the truth, like having the courage of your convictions, standing up for yourself, speaking up, using your voice. Being clear and decisive instead of confused and in a fog. Okay, the subconscious influence that's affecting us. Forgiveness is what is being asked for. So in all of the turbulence of eclipse season, things might have surfaced that have stirred your anger. Or stirred your emotions from the past. Maybe there's a new wound that's just been inflicted. But this is the adversary trying to ruin your seeds that you're planting. We are in spring. We're on the precipice of spring, and right now we are planting spiritual seeds for the coming cycle, for the coming year, and for our new chapter, right? It's like we've jumped on the boat and we're headed to a new land and a new life and a new future, and we are not taking that old crap with us. We are leaving that in the past. And so in order to completely free us up for the best possible start, forgiveness is what is needed in order to free our own heart, to free our own mind. Because when we aren't forgiving someone, it's not like you're letting them off the hook or saying it's okay for them to have done that or been that way. But what's happening when you aren't forgiving someone is that you're just fucking your own self over. It's creating dissonance, and you are not in alignment. Your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength, your actions, they're all getting out of tune because of this like thing in your system that you're not like allowing to be released or let go of, or that you're holding on to. And I am as just as inconvenienced by that as anyone else, because I have a big fresh wound that's been inflicted, and it's very difficult to navigate that process of being honest about how you feel about a situation as you're feeling it, and expressing that even just to yourself, and then trying to let that run through you and not hold on to hard feelings and bitterness. It doesn't mean that you have to continue to have the person in your life or welcome them or sit and have them, be involved with them. But it helps if you can be at peace and at rest and let go and not have it haunt you, right? So just trying to come to a peace and surrender about it. And it's, God saw what happened, and God has that filed away in the spiritual IRS files, and that person will have to pay for that and answer for that. And you don't have to worry about it. So the situation that is, it's like the past is clearing up, and this is like hanging around a little bit. So a new situation. So improved health, home life, lifestyle, new job, organization, and outer harmony. So the efforts that you've been putting forward recently to build this new routine, this new sort of relationship with life, and this relationship to yourself, it's really it's setting a foundation, and so it's set you up positively for success to build on. So it's like continuing on with these new good, healthy, positive habits and structures, continuing to build with those. Ooh, what's crowning us now? Energy detox. Like last night's reading was talking about Pisces, and this portal of eclipses is like this rushing river, just like pushing through all the energy, and it's just like washing through and cleansing and purging. So I love that. Energy detox. I have been on a kick recently where I have just been like deep cleaning my house, and it's basically all done now. There's going to be a second pass right before Passover to do that specific cleaning, but it just feels so amazing to have everything have been touched, moved, wiped, furniture pulled out, even replacing like brooms with new brooms, new mops, like really fresh environment. And it just feels like the energy is just moving and flowing. And you know how it's so weird, it's like when the house is all fresh and clean like that, and like all those little things that you had in the back of your mind that needed to get done that weren't even priorities, when you get all that stuff finished, it's like the creativity can flow, because there's nothing to keep you from, like there's nothing to procrastinate with anymore. It's like you finally have caught up on things, and you have space in your day to plan out frivolity or creative endeavors or playful things, or I wanted to try this new recipe. So I mean, stuff like that takes time. It takes time to cook, takes time to do these things. So like really just giving yourself a fresh, clean slate to start engineering the days that you want to live in, and it really, like, I can't tell you how much a big house purge and like getting all that stuff on your things to do list done, getting clutter out of the way, it opens up your mental space. It opens up space within your being. I don't know why or how they're so connected, but they are. Okay, what's coming around the corner? This person is not what they seem. So this might be what's coming out in the eclipse portal for you. This might be what's being revealed. Obviously, there are things in the world stage where people are, it's like cats out of the bag. Like this has been, masks off. Like people are being shown to be who they really are. but like in your own personal life too, there might be key players that do something to reveal their true nature or their true character that it's like, whoa, what an upset. What, this is the thing, like, this is like one of those season finale Game of Thrones moment revelations, right? I know that's, you guys, if you watched my last night video, which a lot of you did, thank you. You saw, I was like, I need to make this video, but I was processing like exactly this, like this, finding out, oh, you know, having these things just like drop in your lap, and in real time, like clockwork. You couldn't make it up. It was so wild. But I think that when we can surrender to that and not fight that, right? Like, how many of us have been taught by culture to deny the truth of what someone is showing you by continuing to make excuses or defend them in the name of, you know, toxic forgiveness, right? It's like, that's not real. That's not true. That's not honest. Real forgiveness is when you face the truth about a situation and you call it for what it is, and you don't make excuses for it, and you don't justify it, and you don't explain it away, right? That's when you ask for true forgiveness, when you own your part in something like that, but also when you have been in a situation, and you're the receiving end of something, of a slight or a wrong. It's like so many times there's a third party that comes in and wants to mediate it away and sweep your experience under the rug and just go straight to protecting the perpetrator or the wrongdoer, right? And so I think that we have to get rid of that training where we're trying to cushion ourselves from the reality of who people really are and look with reason and dispassionate analysis at their actions and their character, not who they want to present to be, not who they want everyone to think they are, but who are they really? What do their actions really say about them? Who are they when no one's looking, right? And so I think that when we can accept that and surrender and stop holding up an illusion, then that's the first step to moving forward into healing, into true forgiveness, and into moving on and moving forward. So our perspective that's affecting us now is that we need a partner. So I think that, you know, one of the lessons about from the Torah this week was about how miracles were revealed on Mount Sinai, because for a certain period of time, for like 40 days in a row, the Israelites were in absolute unity and true love and friendship. They were loving their neighbor. And they were truly more invested in the greater good rather than their own self-interest. And for a brief period of time, they were experiencing like immortality and supernatural occurrences and miracles and things that, like, their limbs were growing back, like, you know, all kinds of things. But then when they started to lose their faith, and they got overwhelmed and they got afraid, and they created the golden calf and they broke that covenant. And then they, you know, they suffered after that. So one of the reasons why this certain rabbi had so many people, like, okay, so Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had all these students that were, he was revealed like the greatest wisdom. He was revealed the insight that became the Zohar, the commentary on the Torah that is the Zohar. This was due to the fact that his cohort of students were so unified. They had such affection and love for one another. They were such good friends. The friendship was so strong that it revealed miracles and light and wisdom and insight. But then there was another rabbi at another time who was also full of wisdom. He was as wise, if not, every bit as wise as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. His name was Rabbi Akiva. And he had many, many students, and all but a couple of them died before their time because there was division between them. There was evil eye, evil tongue. There was conflict between the friends. They were not unified. So we, as we embrace friendship, as we embrace love for one another and unity and caring and sharing, like Care Bears style, right? We actually reveal more and more power, and it creates more and more elevation, more and more insight, more and more effectiveness, more and more elevation. So I think that a lot of people in the crushing times that we're living in right now, where the agenda of the government is literally flood the zone or system overload, they want to give us overwhelm and keep us feeling crushed and disempowered and despondent. And so it's causing a lot of people to just be so tired that they don't have the energy to socialize, creating isolation, creating people, be feeling alienated. And so we need to reach out. We need to be more social. We need to make an effort to bring more people into our process, into our life. Bring it, maybe you need a partner, like a spiritual running buddy. Maybe you need a creative partner. Maybe you need a life partner. Maybe you need a business partner. But either way, something about the work that we need to do right now, it's like we need to expand from just being isolated to working with others. So you need a partner. A partner will help you take this further, share the load, get help, people with complementing skills, incorporating a supportive element. Sometimes we're meant to grow and learn certain life lessons by going it alone for a period or doing something on our own. This is not the case in the situation. Whatever the issue is at the forefront of your life and consciousness, you could benefit from having a partner. Perhaps this is literally a business partner. Maybe it's a friend or acquaintance with complementing interests, skills, or resources. Maybe it's someone you confide in for accountability. Whatever it is, you will benefit greatly and supercharge your power and efforts with some support. Maybe this partner is or support comes in the form of another job or a side hustle. So again, part of the power of having like friends and partners, one of the things you need to look for is that you have unified consciousness, that you all are in full support of one another. You do not want to bring on a partner who is jealous or has they don't believe in your vision. That's just going to be like throwing a spoke in the wheel. Like you want people who are adding harmony and who share the goal, who share the vision, who are again unified in friendship, and this is like peaceful and harmonious. You're not looking to bring someone in who's very, very talented, but again butts heads with your vision, or with who doesn't agree with you or wants what you have, and they're threatened of you growing. What if you're growing and they aren't, right? So I would say if you have a collective of people who are all doing things on their own, like they all have their own thing, and so someone else having a thing isn't threatening to them, right? I'm lucky that I work in a place where there's not like butting heads as far as like ego trips and like hating on people with jealousy. It's like everyone's just like really, lit up by all of our, people's creative endeavors and things that they do, and we're all very supportive. And I think that's one of the things that I love most about the place that I work. It's so helpful. But when people are all rooting for one another, that collective creates like this momentum and magnetism and power around your intentions, and it puts protection and like extra magnetism and potency around your intentions and your actions. Okay, so the next card represents the outside influence that's affecting us right now. Okay, it's time to get over this and move on. So something that might be 100% valid is also the one like thing that's not letting you run smoothly. It's like you've got one little thing that's like a rock in your engine, and it's not letting your car run the right way. So this is like the debris that's in the engine of your life. And so there's something about whether or not you're right or wrong, the pain and resistance to this stain, this pebble in your shoe is the thing that is now the only like energetic hiccup that is keeping you from propelling forward. So it's time to get over it and move on. And then this card is going to be connected to our hopes and fears. No big deal. This seems much worse than it is. You've built this up in your mind. The worry around this has taken on a life of its own. Don't let it grow into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Nip it in the bud. If you don't make it a big deal, then it won't be. It's not as significant as you are making it out to be. So there's something involving like your hopes and dreams and your fears around and anxiety around those hopes and dreams that you're making it big, you're blowing something up to be bigger than it is. And so you're too intimidated by something that's not going to be that big of a deal, or you are putting something on a pedestal that's not going to make that much of a difference anyway. So maybe there's something small that's holding you back. Like for instance, I'm building, I've started a Substack, but I haven't completed it quite yet, or I'm not quite 100% sure on like how to navigate that platform entirely, that and Patreon. And so that I think there's a little bit of perfectionism there that is slowing me down a little bit. And I realize that even now, and I'm like, I need to just haphazardly like start taking these steps because it's not like I'm going to be viral overnight anyway. I mean, I could be, but like the odds of that, like, you know, there's not going to be anybody to see the failure anyway, right? So it's like just doing it is moving the needle forward, but holding back because of perfectionism is not moving the needle forward. Does that make sense? So not making too big of a deal about things and just being decisive and going forward. There's this dude that I work with, and I was just telling him the other day, I love how decisive he is about things that he does. Like he moved to Nashville from LA. And I was like, what made you move to Nashville? And he was like, well, I'd grown up in LA. I'd never been anywhere else. And I was ready for a change. And I heard Nashville was nice. I'd never been here. I didn't know anything about it. So I booked a trip. I gave myself a couple of days to find a place to rent. And then I moved out here. And I'm like, wow, like, that's really gutsy. That's like, I mean, I wish that I had that kind of clarity where I could get a notion like that, like a gut instinct, and then just follow it, like without any kind of hesitation. And the thing is, he looks a little older than he is. Like I thought he was more like 25, 27, but he's like 21. So okay, I'm like, okay, all right, that makes a little more sense. But then he was like, yeah, I don't like go out and drink, and I don't do a lot of stuff, so I needed a friend network. So I just found a church, and I started going to church. I was like, are you like religious? Do you have beliefs? And he was like, no, I didn't grow up religious at all. I just needed a good people, and I thought that'd be a good place to socialize. So then he like started going to church, and I mean, like, that's kind of dangerous living in a world of Christian nationalism. But he's not that kind of boy. He doesn't seem like it, but he seems like a very nice guy. And so I'm like, wow, like it's just, he just lands on his feet he just follows this inspiration, this divine inspiration. He is not spiritually lazy, spiritually prompt. He takes the action. He doesn't delay. He's not like gripped with indecision for years on end. And so then again, remember this guy's young. He talks about his girlfriend, and I get the impression she's like a sweet girl or whatever. And so just recently he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ring shopping. Him and his girlfriend were in the restaurant, and she was exactly who I pictured in my mind. Like when, he mentioned his girlfriend, it's like, it was so crazy seeing her. So I was like, she's exactly what I imagined. And then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ring shopping soon. And I was like, oh my God, you're gonna ask her to marry you? He's like, yeah, I just know she's the one. I'm like, wow, again, I love it. I love the decisiveness. I don't like culture pressuring kids to get married very, very young. But at the same time, I always wanted to get married. And it wasn't because of cultural pressure. It's just that I just wanted to build life with someone and experience life together with someone side by side. And so if that is like a genuine, like desire, I think it's cool that people are really a lot more open to commitment than they used to be when I was younger, because a lot of my generation, I think, were stunted and very commitment phobic. And so I think that we lost out on a lot of life experience because of that. Because I know I personally had issues finding people in my age group who were willing to go the long haul. And it just seems like now I meet so many guys that are about like 5 to 10 years younger than me that have zero of those hangups that our generation did. And I think I literally directly connect that to the religious extremism of the evangelical fervor and the end times obsession. And even if you're not like a white Christian nationalist, that white Christian nationalism, those agendas have spilled out into the culture, because these are the books that these people are reading, these writers and these televangelists. They're all part of this same agenda and scheme. So that has bled into even other, I think, groups and churches that aren't necessarily extreme, but they don't know that they have been indoctrinated with this extremism because it's on a spectrum. Right, but the underlying core values are sneaking in, and they're there, right? So I think a lot of people rejected what they understood to be a traditional adult trajectory because of that, because they had so much to deconstruct, so much to unpack, that I think a lot of them they just shut down. All right, so let's get the final outcome here. Okay, this is part of the journey. So whatever challenge we find ourselves in at this moment, it is not an indication that we have failed, that we are off, that we are wrong. This is the moment that we are traversing as part of our initiation, right? The rite of passage. Jesus went out into the wilderness to fast and prepare himself for his ministry, and that is when the devil came out and tempted him 3 times. And the challenge of being out there, the way that the devil's voice it made Jesus sound like, it implied that Jesus was in some kind of trouble or peril, or you can get yourself out of this mess. And it's like, Jesus wasn't in a mess. He was out there on purpose. He's like, I'm not starving, I'm fasting. There's a difference. Like I'm not in, I'm walking into this situation by choice, right? And so I think that that having that confidence and that inner peace that we are on our path and that we are in the right place, and that challenge just means that there is great light that is being revealed in this moment, and we can embrace that and surrender to the moment. And if we don't fight the moment that we're in because we're like, I don't think I should be in this moment is all wrong, it's like, well, you can't be in the moment and get what you need from the moment until you accept that the moment is what it is, right? So if we feel, okay, I'm in the right place, this is just what I'm being given to navigate at this moment, and it's not right or wrong, and whether or not it will reveal light is up to me and how I navigate through. But I can't project or judge that this is inherently going to be a good or bad situation, because miracles can unfold from very bleak looking circumstances, and they always do, right? Miracles don't happen in the middle of a nice sunny day when everything's running perfect, right? It's like, oh my God, everything's fine, I don't need anything. Wow, look at this miracle that just appeared before me. It's usually when we are up against a wall, and when the Israelites are faced with death on both sides. It's like either walk into the Red Sea and drown yourself, or be slaughtered by the Egyptian army. And the first Israelites that went in, they had to get up above their nose before the sea split. Their action, their determination, their absolute decision to practice faith forced that miracle, or it unlocked, or it called down that miracle, it invoked that miracle. It wasn't just like they happened to catch the miracle by chance. Like their act of acting in faith, believing that the means would be provided, that is what split the sea. And that is definitely not what the War Department is doing by trying to usher in Armageddon, because that's not possible. Like, you can't force God's hand at anything. Jesus, that's what Satan tried to tempt Jesus in the desert. He said, I bet you could go up to the top of the building if you're really the Messiah. If you're the Messiah, like he's like probing, like he's like baiting him into trying to prove himself. He's like, if you're the Messiah, you could just throw yourself off of a building and angels would catch you, because you're so important that you can't die until your purpose is served. So why don't you do that? Why don't you go up there? And Jesus was like, I'm not going to force God's hand. I don't need to play that game. I don't have anything to prove to you. I don't have to force God to prove God's self to me. I am here. I am in God's hands. I know that I am here and in God's hands. And I am here to do the will of He who sent me. Whether I like it or not, I am happy to do the will of He who sent me. And I don't force God's hand at anything. I accept God's hand in my life, and God's will and God's timing. And if God is not ready to come in and lay down Armageddon, then God's not going to lay down Armageddon. And the thing is, God says, vengeance is mine. And I was thinking about that today, actually, not even thinking about lunatic over there trying to bring on the end of days. I was thinking about generally being like this, all of this evil being shown up in the world is like stirring, it's like probing the darkness in us. It's showing us our own darkness, because, when you think about what do these people deserve, as punishment for like things that are to know about, has left a stain on my soul forever. The things that I have, just in the surface level of things that have been revealed about what has been going on, the horrors are so disgusting and unspeakable. And I think people are, talking about different ways people should be punished, and then you find yourself going, well, that seems too fast, that seems too easy, and you're like, wow, look at me, going, full Khaleesi, Do you guys remember in the Game of Thrones, when Khaleesi is just like gone off the deep end at the end, and she's raining down terror with the dragon fire, and she's just gone mad? I mean, yeah, I think all of us are seeing that potential within us this moment. And I was just exploring my own Khaleesi madness and potential, and I was thinking, this is why God said, vengeance is mine. Because if I come in and try to take vengeance, I'm just like, it's like someone finding out that they are pregnant, and then instead of like keeping the secret, you go and you tell everybody about their news. And you've scooped them. You're like, hey, they're pregnant. And they're like, oh, we wanted to tell all our loved ones, and now you ruined it. It's like, don't take God's wrath. God's wrath is going to be so much greater than anything we can do to these people. And God's like, you keep your hands clean. I want you at the party in your ball gown. So you do not get your hands dirty messing it with the wrath. I will get the wrath. It will be breathtaking. Don't worry. You are going to be at the banquet. So go get ready for the party. But I will take care of the wrath. You don't need to worry yourself with the wrath, because we are not even equipped to lay down the wrath, right? So, all right, let's grab a couple of tarot cards here we go, to give us a synopsis. So, arriving at the end of a cycle. The World card is the final card in the major arcana. This means that we have come to the completion of a journey. It's like if you were thinking about the hero's journey, and the whole reason that the hero has to go out and leave the village and go on the adventure and face all of these challenges. It's like because they have to learn a lesson, because they have to grow into something, and because they have to embody that growth and that strength, and then face off their adversary. And so after that, they go back to the village, and it's like they have grown into another person, and they have learned something and taking something from the experience. Excuse me. Whew. They've taken something from the experience and they learned something from it. And so that's where we are now. It's like we've come to this completion of a cycle of learning and growth. And now we're free to go in any direction. It's like we can choose a new path now. And that's what we're doing. We are choosing our new story. We are writing our next chapter with consciousness and with joy and with desire and creativity. With joy, with desire, with creativity, beginning a new cycle of emotional renewal and love and joy and friendship and creativity and goodness and splendor and fulfillment. Ace of Cups. Love it. I mean, what better card to have than you've completed your journey. I know that you're still marred with soot and blood from the battlefield, but you're here. It's time for a nice hot cup of tea, a nice fortifying stew. Gonna get you in a hot bath, and then we are going to have a nice rest, and then we are going to feel beautiful, and we're going to be starting a new spring and the spring of our life. I'm so excited. Our cup runneth over. All right. Ooh, everything is fine. Okay, so this is there's two Ten of Swords cards in the Modern Witch Tarot. There's the traditional Ten of Swords with the same artwork, but it's just the end of a difficult situation. You might feel a little bit burnt out. It might even have been a ruinous end or cause some sort of humiliation or upset. Or, you might have felt like you lost or you failed. Whatever it was, this is not an ending, but this is the beginning of something else. And so even though it might have been a painful and seemingly unjust and cruel ending, sudden, maybe unexpected, and it might feel like it's ruinous to everything that you've known. This is the beginning of new chapters, and look what it says at the bottom. Everything is fine. There was an effort made to make a second card that would come out for situations, for special situations where this card needed to let you know that it is not as bad as it seems, and that everything will be fine. All right, and then Knight of Pentacles. So this is, it's all about not getting stuck, right? This kind of came up upside down. So we don't want to get stuck. We don't want to get slowed down. We don't want to feel like we're just getting mired down by exhaustion and despondency and sadness. We've got to continue to take steps and move forward. So yesterday I had, in my family, we had a situation like this where it was everything that we've heard, in this reading. Sudden shock, feeling, learning that someone wasn't who you thought they were. Nothing's going to be the same, like things that we had, like all that this implies, and last night it was very difficult to go into work and not be completely just undone. And I kept just taking steps. I pulled myself together. I chose to feel the feelings, but pull myself together to have a fun time at work and to reconnect with joy. And then I came home and I wanted to break down and just come apart. And I did not allow myself to allow this person who had already done so much damage in my life and who had already damaged so many shifts that I worked, and so many times I was left for days incapacitated in just depression because of their destructive nature. And I wasn't going to do that again. Even if it meant having to sit on camera and cry through the reading, I was not going to let this person hold me back. And their actions, their cruelty, they were not going to hold me back any longer. If I had to sit there in a ball of tears and just continue to do it and make myself. And so I took the steps, and I did not fall into a pit for days. I actually did have a very hard morning. I wrestled with these emotions. I felt them. I grieved. And then I had a pretty bad headache for a lot of the day. But then I still wanted to move through the day. I wanted to push myself to go out and take a run. I wanted to do a lot of things. And the cut text came, and there was a part of me, like I was feeling sad, but I was feeling like, okay, just go to work and make some money. But I was also feeling like I needed rest. I had a very bad headache. I had all this grief coming through. I wanted to do this reading. I wanted to do some other things that were positive, and I wanted to spend the sort of full moon, eclipse portal space in a little bit more of a contemplative space. So I got with the Creator. I said some prayers, and I kept being shown that I needed to take the cut today, and that it was okay to take the cut today. And I was like, am I sure? This is not me, feeling depression and then not showing up. But the step, I think, was to take a step back, to show myself some grace, but also to be proactive and to keep moving, keep taking little steps through my day. And sure enough, my headache got better. I went out for a little run. I went out for a little walk. And then I came home, and I didn't want to, but I needed a nap. And I took a nap, and I felt a lot better. And so then I started the video. I think it's been a good reading. I think we've had a lot of major insight and good insight coming through, but it wouldn't have happened had I just completely become ungrounded. I think we're going to have to hold a space where even in difficult moments, if we can just keep slowly taking step by step with discipline and grace. Balanced both. Because the bigger picture is, yes, instant gratification would have been, I don't feel like doing a video. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the right energy for it. You know, I don't want to do anything. I want to lay down, you know, but like that wouldn't have let me feel better. I would have continued to feel worse. And then I would have wasted and squandered precious time and energy, right? So this day I kept continuing to take little steps. And then everything got taken care of. I got the time that I needed, and I was able to still continue to do the things that were important. And I didn't cave to instant gratification necessarily. But I put what was important in the long run in the forefront. All right, let's actually, before we get into those oracle cards, let's grab a lunation card from the Moonology cards. Let's see. Ooh, we are very close to achieving your goal. Give us moon. We've had this indication coming up a lot recently. It's like, don't quit right before the finish line. Don't get discouraged. I don't know why I'm craving to. This spray is so good. It's like prayer meditation spray, but it smells like cedar. I love it. But yes, don't get tempted to give up right before the finish line. Like we've been saying for the past probably couple of weeks that we're in a test of endurance right now. Things are going to come together and fall into place, but it's going to take our continued choice to practice faith and patience and trust that we're on the right path. We know the difference between when we're in a moment in life where we're not going in the right direction, where we're completely off path. Like, yes, right now, our consciousness from moment to moment can cause us to be out of alignment and off path in that way because our actions aren't matching, like our thoughts, feelings, and emotions aren't matching. So like, for instance, unforgiveness or something like that can throw us off and out of balance, even though in the greater scheme, we're on the right path, right? But when we are on the wrong path in life, we feel something that is deeply off. So I feel that we know that we're on the right path. It's just getting through stretches where we don't know quite where we are along the path. We don't know how much distance we've gone. We don't know how much distance before the next fork in the road, right? I love this. Okay, so from the wisdom and Angel Wisdom Tarot deck, we've got the Dreamer, the Fool. The Fool is setting out on a new path, on a new journey. This is the very beginning, the first card of the Zodiac. So the first card of the Major Arcana. So we started the reading with the ending of the Major Arcana. We've come to the end of a great life's journey, and we have gained the wisdom and the lessons involved in that and have embodied them. And now we are setting out, the ticker has been pulled back to the starting point, and we're starting on a new journey. We're back at ground zero, starting at 0 degrees of Aries, right? On a new path, on a new journey, a new start. Trust yourself, push aside your fears, and take the leap of faith. Just like we were saying. All right, now let's grab a couple of cards to guide us along with our manifestations. Ooh, divine magic. So extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now. Expect miracles. So keep at it. Expect that you're on the right path. Expect that things are going to start working out. Expect that it's only a matter of time. Just keep showing up every day with your little Fool's briefcase knapsack and keep showing up to the work. Keep showing up, keep giving, keep sharing, keep putting in the effort, and it will start to yield fruit. Contemplation time. Again, the last couple of weeks we have of Pisces, use this time for deep contemplative time. What are these experiences and jolting plot point moments shaking in us? That what is it trying to awaken? What is this process awakening, right? It's not enough to just trust that we're in the process. We have to know, go deeper, probe deeper. What is the process? What's the point of this process? What is the end that this process is taking me to? What is it awakening? What is it alerting me to? What do I need to be made aware of? Okay, so contemplation time. Spend time alone meditating upon what you truly desire. I did actually try to focus on daydreaming about being in the new life today as I was walking around. It's like, what would it be like once I start making the extra content for Substack, and I am in a really well-oiled routine, and I've got earlier wake-up times and earlier bedtimes, and I'm getting all my content made, and I'm working on the visuals on my deck, and I'm getting my deck published, and I'm building out different parts of my brand, and I'm living in that, and that I am growing my finances, and I am designing my dream house, or I'm manifesting one on that dream piece of property. Like I was just being in the dream, and seeing it play out. Consult an expert. More information is needed. Contact with someone with expertise in this area. Okay, so for me, I know that I need to learn more about how to navigate and utilize Substack to set me up for success, right? So I know that's what I need to get more expertise in that area before I can productively move forward and get the results that I'm wanting. So do you have something in your goals that you might need to get a little bit more information or strategy? Maybe consult someone that has a little bit more insight. All right. Let's see. Ooh, oh my God, favorite card, a new dawn, a new dawn. How many ways can this reading comfort us and let us know that a new day is dawning? So the worst is behind us and positive new experiences are on the horizon. All right, let's grab a few cards from our romance angels for our love life. Ooh, unrequited love. So that is a thing of the past. We aren't wasting time there anymore. That is 10 of Swords all over it. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. So I am not even trying to force myself to try to get interested in someone who I'm not interested in anymore. And if I know that someone has no real deep compatibility, I don't care how cute they are in the moment or how fun they are to mess with and play with and, joke around with, I'm not pursuing a relationship that is not going to have potential to really develop into something real or meaningful, right? And that includes ruminating or limerence on someone who does not return the feelings or who is not available. And even if you tried to say make it work with someone who you didn't have those feelings for, or you got them temporarily in a relationship and they didn't really have that long-term intention for you, it's not going to yield what you want it to. It's never going to yield that fulfillment. So there's just no reason to even try to make it, into something that it's not going to be. Healing family issues. So your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. So again, the forgiveness thing is the thing that is needed most to quicken the process, so that we're not stuck in this, like, having to learn this lesson. The lesson's already been learned, so there's no reason to continue to stay here. It's like someone who continues to stay in school because they don't want to graduate into life, right? So healing the family issue is going to be the thing that unblocks the flow here. And the behavioral pattern is to stop projecting and getting stuck on unavailable, unrequited, because more than likely your relationship pattern that's keeping you chasing after unrequited love is the fact that one of your parents didn't give you the love that you needed. And so you're chasing after people who don't give you the love that you need because that's the familiar like dynamic that you have with your parents, right? So very common, pattern is if your dad is not emotionally available or literally available, then you might, like if for a female, then they might like chase after people who remind them of their father who aren't available or who are aloof, who don't have emotional intelligence, or they're not available because they're in a relationship, or they're not emotionally available, or they're not geographically available, but they end up getting attractions that keeps them tied energetically to people who aren't going to requite or be able to actually fulfill a relationship with them. And maybe even that person likes you back, but they're not able to give to you, to the relationship, to make an effort to really give it their all. It's not going to be possible. So it's like you're just tying yourself into a fruitless trap, and we're not doing that anymore. Okay, so make the effort to break away from fruitless things and keep yourself open and pursuing fruitful possibilities. Let your friends help. They might have some insight, or they might know someone, or they might invite you to something, but be open to friends' insight and input. And then working on just reminding ourselves that we deserve love, and then actually following up on that belief with actions that reflect that reflect that we deserve love, right? Forcing myself to go to work today would not really have been the loving thing, because I needed loving attention from myself today. My body needed different things today than going and forcing myself into a high impact situation, So I think loving ourselves and showing ourselves grace and mercy because we deserve it, and showing and like taking actions that reflect that, and holding those standards for ourselves because we know we deserve love. It's like that, those acts that we demonstrate to ourselves puts that signal out to the universe, and it also demonstrates to others how we expect to be loved and treated. All right, now let's get some loving advice from Mother Mary, Jesus's mom. Oh, we've got two here. Devotion. As I fully commit to my values, relationships, and God, I am clear about what to do next. Very Virgo full moon, Mercury retrograde. I love it. As I fully commit to my values, relationships, and God, I am clear about what to do next. And, oh my God, Father. Lord have mercy. My true Father is God in heaven. And that's the biggest takeaway for me, is that learning about so many of us, we don't have the Father that we think that we wanted, but we got the Father that God knew that our soul needed to reveal its greatness. And so many of the things about our Father that are the most difficult things to accept are the specific things that gave our soul what it needed to bring out its superpowers. It was the origin story that stirred our soul to greatness. So, in that way, I think that helps us forgive our fathers for not being the archetype of what a father should be, right? We have to forgive our fathers the debt of being our father and let it go, and then just see them as a person out in the world, that has their own flaws and weaknesses and things that they're up against, and their own temptations. And I think that when we separate the title, the role of father from the man, I think it helps us let go of that. It helps us mourn the title of father on someone that maybe hasn't passed away or out of their life, but like they're still there. It's just that it's like you're mourning the loss of your father, even though your father's still alive. Does that make sense? Like you're learning that your father wasn't who you thought he was, possibly, and that God is your true father. That no one can replace God the Father, and that when you realize God is your true father, your truest beloved, it really frees you completely, because you don't need the validation or the safety net of that human vessel anymore. And that applies to particularly to our romantic suitors, because when we no longer look to them to be our source of joy, our source of love, our source of this or that, of validation, our source of beauty in life, and we know that God is our true source of that ultimate satisfaction and fulfillment, then our lovers don't have that negative toxic control over us either, and we can walk away from relationships that are wrong for us, because we know that we'll be fine either way, that God will show up in another vessel that will bring us the love that we deserve and we need, right? So seeing past the vessel, seeing the vessels for what they are, just vessels, and seeing that the light coming through any situation is what God's bringing through in any given moment. And so vessels can come and go, and God is the true constant there. God's what's bringing these vessels in and moving them out. And so I think that when we understand that our true source is eternal, that it doesn't matter when the scenery is changing, when the set is being moved back and forth, and the characters are coming and going, that we know that God is our true constant in everything. My true father is God in heaven, who shines healing light upon me. So my true father is God in heaven, who shines healing light upon me, my birth father, and our relationship. Ooh, self-respect is at the bottom of the deck. I honor and love myself through healthful actions. All right, and now let's get some loving words from Jesus. This is an oracle deck with all of Jesus's words from the New Testament on each card. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. And remember what we said earlier, that in the beginning of the Gospel of Mary, Jesus says to the disciples, cultivate my peace within you. Do not let anyone tell you, go look here or go look there, for the Son of Man is within you. Cultivate the peace of Christ within you. And that is how you are directed by true divine guidance. Not by fear, not by pressure, not by programming or ideologies or being baited. But you have peace within. You're not baitable. You're not convertible. You're not brainwashable. You have the peace of Christ within you. And the source of everything that you are and have is God, who's in control of everything, who has a coming wrath. Whoa. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Wow. Wowie, wowie. That's all for tonight, you guys. I will see you tomorrow for what is tomorrow? Our weekly alchemy message, where we unpack the work, our approach to the week's spiritual lessons. Peace. Ciao.